Hi, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of the School Librarian Learning Network podcast. I'm Steve Tatro, often known as Dr. T Loves Books, and I love talking about all things related to school libraries. I'm an old dog who's always trying to learn new tricks. That's why at each episode of the SLLN podcast, I'll chat with a school librarian about a lesson, program, or activity they love. Hopefully, this can be a place for school librarians to get ideas and find new ways to engage with their students and staff. Speaking of which, I'd love to hear about what you and your friends are doing in your school library. Email me at drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com to tell me about what you're doing, offer feedback about the SLLN podcast, or to request a podcast sticker. As Amy Herman likes to say, being a guest on a podcast is a great way to show your admins you are engaged in meaningful professional development and leadership in the profession. So drop me a line and let's chat. That being said, the opinions and ideas shared in this podcast by myself and my guests are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. I just like to geek out about school libraries. So without further ado, let's get to this week's episode. Hey everybody, I am back and I've got a new friend and I am excited to talk to my new friend. But before we go too far, I need to have my new friend introduce herself. So Nicole, if you wouldn't mind, tell us who you are, where you're at, what you do.
Hi, I am Nicole Smith-Schultz. My students call me Mrs. S, and I am a school librarian in South Jersey, and I love it. I've been doing it for 10 years now.
Nice. And how did you end up in school librarianship? Like, was that a goal the whole time, or was it sort of a lot of people seem to kind of get there by a roundabout route?
Yes, and I was one of those people. Yeah, I started teaching kindergarten 13 years ago. So I was doing that for 2 years. And towards the end of my second year, the librarian there, this was in Camden at the time, the librarian there retired. So I jumped at the position. I was like, how can I do that? And my principal at the time allowed me to finish my second year in her position as long as I agreed to go back to school for library science. I said, of course.
Oh, nice.
And I've just been doing it ever since.
That's awesome, man. And more power to you for starting with kindergarten. Like, I'm a middle school person and people look at me like I'm crazy. I can't even imagine dealing with kindergarten. All the power to you.
It was nice. I do enjoy the little ones, but I got to say, being able that reading literacy block was my favorite time of the day. That's why I jumped at the position, because I was like, I'm not really trying to teach how to count and science. And like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to teach reading. So it was good. It worked out great.
I love that. Yeah. The library, I mean, in my opinion, the library really has the best of pretty much everything, but especially of the English language kind of elements, because you do have the books, you have the reading, you have the helping the kids explore and find their interests. Like, that to me is just what it's all about, you know?
Yeah. I had an English fourth grade teacher describe it to me as, it was a compliment. She said that I am an extension of ELA. And I said,
absolutely.
I like that because I do a lot of lessons where I touch on what they know, which is great. And I remember one time doing a genre lesson and a kid told his teacher, oh, I learned that in library. So she's like, well, great, that helps me out. So it's good. I really do enjoy our profession.
Awesome. Love that. Well, and so we're talking about English a little bit. We're talking about library, and we're here specifically to talk about your poem in your pocket activity that you do with your students. And so before we get into the details of it, I'm just kind of curious, where did this idea originally come from? Like, what made you say this is something we should be doing?
Well, I found that poetry was like the least favorite topic with my students. Like, April is National Poetry Month, and I felt like every time I got around to introducing it and beginning with that, it's like pulling teeth. So I was trying to explain to kids, it's essentially rap. It's similar. It's language, and like poetry comes in all different forms because we can have their shape poems. Like, it's just like, I was all excited about it, and they're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, and it's interesting. I was like, really, of all my things, this is the least favorite. I was just so surprised. Like, not nonfiction November. I was really surprised that it was poetry. So I said, well, and I noticed this maybe like 6 years ago. So I said to myself, the next year I got to really spice up poetry somehow. So just doing some research, online stuff. I came across Poem in Your Pocket as like an activity. And from that, I've adapted it and just kind of made it my own. And I feel like I've turned it into a lesson that kind of turns into a school-wide event at some point, which I love.
That's amazing. I mean, and that's when you know you're doing something right, when it starts to spread and the ripples just keep growing and growing. And all of a sudden, this little activity you started with is now a school-wide
Yeah.
activity. And it's funny too that you mentioned that your students are maybe not super huge fans or weren't super huge fans of poetry before you started doing this, because when I was sort of thinking about what we might talk about for this, it just occurred to me like poetry is such a hot and cold topic for students. Like
Yeah.
sometimes they are just so into it, and other times it's like pulling teeth to get them to even just look at it. And it's like,
Yeah.
you don't know what you're missing, kids. Like
Yeah.
there's so much good stuff here.
Yeah, there's so much detail and concept, even in like the simplest poems sometimes. But
Yeah.
a lot of times they don't want to, dig into the deeper meaning of things. They're like, okay, I read it. Move on.
Right.
I'm like,
Right. Well, and that's one of the things that I both loved and sort of got frustrated about in trying to teach poetry is, yes, you read it once and you get the top level meaning, like what the poem's words are saying to you. But then there's so many other elements that you can dig into and that's what makes poetry so interesting. Like so many kids, especially like with verse novels. I don't know if you've got too many verse novels in your collection, but well, in picture books, a lot of times too, we'll do the rhyming and do different kinds of poetry integrated into them. And yes, it's telling you a story, but when you think about how few words poetry uses to get across an idea and how many words prose uses to get across that same idea, to me, that's just sort of mind-blowing. And I get that students don't necessarily see it, but I'm like, oh, guys, you're not getting it. This is such an amazing thing that's going on.
it's so many layers to it. And the fact that a poem can be written just about anything.
Absolutely.
I enjoy it. It's a great lesson to do. So poem in your pocket.
Yes.
It starts with me doing it in April. I go over, poetry, what it is, the elements of poetry, all that good stuff, and we dive into it. At some point, I get to poem in your pocket. So prior to this, I've already had conversations with local businesses. I create a letter and I introduce myself. I let them know, hey, April's Poetry Month. I'm going to have the kids come to you and say, hey, I have a poem in my pocket. If they read aloud to you a poem, it could be a poem that they've written themselves or a poem from one of our poetry books. For their courage and creativity, I ask that as a reward, you give them something. It could be a coupon to your business. It could be a free item. It could be a discount, a sticker. It doesn't matter. I just really wanted to foster that love of literacy in a creative way while also encouraging public speaking skills. Because I feel like our kids need that and they need to kind of go with that. And I also found that it was something that kindergarten can do well up into eighth grade, the middle schoolers, if they wanted to. They usually don't. But it's nice to see that it can be for, all ages, and they enjoy it. So I, after talking about poetry, then I explained to them, hey, poem in your pocket is going to be, this Saturday. And I create a flyer. The school puts it out on Dojo, Remind. It goes home. So as the teachers know, so everyone kind of gets involved. And usually it's from maybe like 12 to 4. Like you always give a start time and an end time. Because I found that a lot of times businesses are like, well, I can't be giving things out for free all day.
Right.
We're going to stop here. I was like, okay, I get that. And on the flyer, you put what places are doing what. And it is great. One Saturday, one year, I showed up. And I was just kind of there in the winds. I could see my students and they were there and they said it. A lot of times the moms will send me pictures after and they're very proud of themselves.
Yeah.
They're very proud of themselves for speaking. A lot of them get nervous or they're quiet. I have a poem in my pocket. And then a lot of times the roses are red. And it's just beautiful to see how they make it their own.
Yeah.
And how they actually did it. Because I feel like at first when I did it, I was like, I don't really know what to expect. I'm going to hope I get a good turnout. I remember Edith Water Ice one year told me I had a line. And it was crazy. And I said, oh, well, that's great. That's great to hear. I'm really glad. And my administration really enjoyed it. I think that was one of the few compliments I got was about the community outreach. Because it's important. It's important for us as a school community. I feel like when I grew up, community was more than what it is today. So she really appreciated that I included the local businesses and that they got to know us in return. And it makes it easy too for when we have career fairs and things like that. Like, because I feel like once you reach out to one business and establish a relationship, it's easier to use them again for something.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's one of the things I love about this activity is that your students are going out into the community and they're doing it in a way that I feel like we don't often see, where the students are actually bringing something into the community rather than just going out and asking for something from the community. Because I feel like we see that a lot in schools. Like you go out, you ask for donations, you go out and sell stuff. And this is almost not quite reversing that, but sort of giving the students a little more agency or control in that interaction and sort of putting them front and center and showing like, here's stuff that we do in our school, which is so awesome.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I love that. And
Yeah.
it's also such a great, I mean, I love that you said that by making these connections, you're also sort of setting yourself up for future interactions and connections with those same businesses, because now you've got that relationship established and they're sort of like, oh yeah, we worked with this before. It was great. What else can we do? So it's almost like it's both a form of advocacy for your program, but also a great way to sort of lay that groundwork and build those bridges so that you can bring them in for that career day. Or if you do have an ask later on, you're like, hey, here's a little something, maybe you can help us out.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. So you teach multiple grade levels. So is this something that you do with a particular grade level, or is this kind of like school? I mean, you mentioned that it's become quite a big deal at your school.
Yes. It started out with me only doing it for my older students, for like third and up. And then I just felt like the students were telling me how they had siblings. And, oh, well, my sister said a poem too. She's in kindergarten, even though, she wasn't supposed to, but cool. That's great. So then I just said, you could do it. I mean, why not? So, yeah, because they're not memorizing the poem. Like, they can't just read it off of the thing. So that works too. So, yeah, so then like, yeah, you know what? K and up. Everyone can do it. And that makes it great too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that having that option to memorize or read, like, what a great way to tie into your reading skills to say, oh, you can read this. And, practice reading in front of other people can be a very different experience than reading to yourself. So you're building that skill. And maybe the kids who are memorizing stuff, great skill. So sort of adding these wonderful layers very subtly to what seems like at first glance to be a very, straightforward activity.
Yes.
So many little learning elements built in. I love it.
Yes. I thoroughly enjoy it. I love doing this activity because I love the feedback I get from the kids. I always make it on a Saturday, some Saturday in April. And there's always a start time and an end time. But that Monday, I tell you, the kids that come in and, oh, Miss S, Rita's gave me a free such and such, and I got this sticker from the ice cream shop, and Dollar Tree gave me a coupon. Like, they're just so proud of themselves and excited.
And they should be. Yeah.
They should be, because you did something. Like, you spoke up. You read in public. Like, I love it. The one mom, she gave me a video, and she was right next to her child at the beginning, like when they walked up. And he said, I had a poem in my pocket. And she slowly backed away when he started to read the poem. And to get a recording of that, I was just so happy that she shared it with me, because I think he was in first grade at the time. And he was nervous, which is why he said, Mom, stay with me. But he read that poem. And for some reason, he picked a long poem. I was like, why is he's still reading? Oh, my goodness.
That's awesome, though. And I mean, I don't want to be cynical about this, but what a wonderful piece of evidence for you to be able to show to your supervisor and administrator to say, like, look at this thing that I helped coordinate. Like, this is a thing that I helped do, and the parents are loving it. The community is loving it. The students are engaged and involved. Like, that's such a great, like a Danielson area 4 of your rubric, like connection with the community and going above and beyond. That's outstanding stuff.
Yeah, which adds to the motivation of it, because, I mean, as you know, our field sometimes gets looked at as like, what are you doing there, or what's the point, or what do you guys even do? So it's nice when people in the community, I can go up there and introduce myself, because I always drop off the letters in person. I'm like, hey, I'm Mrs. S. I work at the school down the street. I'm a school librarian there. This is what I've been teaching. Would you be interested in supporting our Poem and Pocket event this Saturday? Like, it's just really nice to see when you advocate for yourself, the what do I want to call it? I guess like the light bulb that goes off in the person's head. They're like, oh, they read a poem. They're like impressed almost. And it's nice too for the administration to see that, to see my community outreach efforts, and to see that, because I feel like we have to constantly be showing our relevance and importance to the school community.
Absolutely. And that's such a great piece of self-advocacy, like you were saying, to go in person to the community. Like, I would have defaulted to like sending an email or calling, but an in-person visit, as soon as you said it, I was like, of course you do it in person. Like, that's just, when you're making that connection in person, and I feel like you're probably going to get more likely to get a yes response from them if you're there in person, as opposed to something they can brush off. But also, like you said, saying, I am a school librarian and here is something I do. Like, what a great way to get that message out about, this is something. It's school library is not what you remember from when you were, 20, 30 years ago. Like, this is a thing that we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Man.
it's nice too, because then you end up striking up a conversation with the business owner. I remember when I went to the Reader's Warehouse and met him, he was like, oh, I didn't know that. My daughter goes to such and such school and they just had something there. Like, it's nice, that small sense of conversation and finding out the interests of the person. And it was funny too, because I had a colleague, I think it was the gym teacher, when I was telling him about the different places I was going to, I think it was a pizza shop. He was like, oh, we always reach out to them for stuff. They never really, and I was like, oh, really? Well, he said he was a part of it. He said he'll do it. He's on the list of businesses to go to, but I think it was because I didn't shoot an email. I didn't, I came there. And I think it was hard to brush me off. And I also think it was because I was asking for something different. I wasn't asking for a donation. I wasn't doing it. I said, listen, if kids of mine come and say, I have a poem in my pocket, could you just give them something? I said, it could be a sticker. It doesn't have to be, any product of yours. But I think that's also helpful to the businesses, knowing that we don't want much with this. It could be literally anything. So if you go out the day before and get a pack of 500 stickers and just have it on hand, if someone walks up and say, appreciate it. You know what I mean? So I think that helps too.
Yeah. It's more about the recognition of what the students are doing than a reimbursement of some kind. Like that's, I love that.
And I have found that not every business is receptive to it. Some are kind of like, something else, but some are very much like, oh, okay, well, if that's it, and there's a start and an end time. Okay, sure.
Right,
no
right.
problem.
When you've got those specific guidelines and specific, it's going to happen here to here. It's only this little bit. And, and I think too, there's so many great opportunities there to sort of explain to the businesses, like, we're going to be sort of driving traffic into your place of business because kids are going to be coming, and the kids are not going to come by themselves. They're going to have parents with them. They might have their family with them. So, maybe they'll be utilizing your business, maybe not then, but maybe in the future. And certainly, I mean, from a purely personal perspective, if I went into a place and I saw that they were doing this kind of a thing, I would be much more likely to want to go back there, So I can see, lots of ways that you could, if you had to sort of massage a little bit to get the business on board, I can see there being lots of reasons to get them in.
Yeah, it is nice. It's very nice to see how much businesses are willing to support local schools, especially because I did try to keep it with just local businesses. I think that would be my advice to someone who wants to try to be local. I feel like a lot of big, like I never even thought of going to like Walmart or Target or anything like that, because I feel like there'd be a channel for it. There'd be like some protocol that has to happen. And who has time for all that? All I want these to do, I just want the kids to read a poem and go, and you give them stuff. So just, like your little local ice cream shop or pizza place, to like keep it small and local. And I feel like they'll respond to it because you're bringing business to them.
Yeah. And it's such a great way to bring literacy into the community in a very different kind of a way. And I wish we had more opportunities to bring literacy into the community. And this one is it's on the face of it, a very simple way to do it, but it's very powerful and it's very meaningful for the students to be doing that out loud sort of performance or that out loud reading for people. What a great way to give those students that skill and that feeling of accomplishment. Like, here is a thing that I went out and did, and not everybody's going to do it, which also sort of adds to you did do it though. Like, great on you. Nice job, student.
Yeah, it definitely boosts his confidence. It definitely does.
Now, I'm kind of curious, how do they go about picking the poem that they're going to use?
So the Poem in Your Pocket event happens 3 weeks after I'm teaching constant poetry.
Okay.
By this point, the fact that they've learned what makes a poem, they might have created their own poem, and that's fine. And then they've also are only allowed to check out poetry books during this time. So they have I know one mom said she just Googled a poem when they got there, and I was like, well, that's fine. Yeah,
sure.
Whatever works. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And man, for that student, like, that's even that extra bit of pressure to be like, here's a poem you may not have ever seen before. Go for it. Extra credit for you, kid. That's great. So it's sort of a great way to culminate your poetry lessons, to have them kind of pick out poems. And do they practice them at all in school, or is it pretty much you pick your poem and then you figure out how you want to roll with it, kids?
They can if they want to. Like, if they want to share with me, and some of them do. They'll say, oh, I'm going to read this poem, or I'm going to do this one. Okay, let me hear it. But a lot of them, they kind of just will pick one and then go. Yeah. Yeah, they kind of do. Yeah. And that's great too. Like, that's giving them that ownership of it. Like, it doesn't have to be my approval. You do what you want to do. So yeah. I think my favorite thing about it is the support I get from classroom teachers. Because it's one
That
thing
was actually going to be my next question.
yeah, it's one thing to say like, okay, this is happening in the library. This is what we're doing. Because a lot of times that is the case. A lot of times, like I've had a tissue box storybook contest where kids could create a book character out of a tissue box, but that was like only happening in the library. Yeah, that was great too, and I took a little video of it, but it was like only in the library. So it was nice that I had something that was the library was doing, but it wasn't only occurring in the library, and the fact that teachers were aware of it and making sure to push it to parents and making sure that that flyer went out that I made. And that also was really nice and felt good to know that I got that roundabout support. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know if you'll know, but do you know if any of the teachers are sort of like, well, we're not going to worry about any kind of homework this weekend because I know you got your poem in your pocket that you're going to be working on?
Yes. Fifth grade teacher told me that Friday, her only reminder was like, and don't forget, poem in your pocket, check your flyer, make sure you go to at least one or all of all those businesses on Miss S's list. Like it was just, it's great. It's great when you feel supported because I can only tell them about it when I see them once a week as a reminder. So It's great that their classroom teacher who they see every day is also promoting it with me. Like that was awesome.
Yeah. And so how long have you been doing this Poem in Your Pocket Day?
For about 5-6 years now.
Okay. So this is, I mean, you said it started small and it has now become a school-wide activity, which I love.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is something that you're getting lots of positive feedback about. So I'm just kind of curious, like, are there any specific things that you've had students kind of, how have they let you know that this is something that they're really getting into?
I think by their excitement and enthusiasm. Yeah. Like once I talk about it and introduce the flyer and then start saying the names of where they can go, I can say like, Miguel's Pizzeria is on the list. Lidia's, JJ's ice cream. They're like they just get so excited because they're like, "Whoa, I wonder what the free thing will be." Mm-hmm. So it's usually the introduction and the Monday after. The Monday after,
I have to imagine the beaming faces.
So they are so excited to tell me, and parents as well, because I will get an email because my information is also on the flyer. So like to get the emails of the pictures from the moms because I don't use Dojo. I know some school librarians do, but I don't. Or a classroom teacher will forward me a message from parents, so that's great too. But that Monday after, I just feel so elated knowing people go.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you're not only getting feedback from the students, but from the parents, because to my mind, especially right now, I know school librarianship is sort of in a tenuous position, and to have parents having that positive interaction with the library program and sending you that feedback, like what a great, to my mind, that's such a testament to your ability to connect with your students and to really make them feel like they are part of the library and part of what's going on at the school. So kudos to you for that. Absolutely.
Yes. I definitely try to make a rapport with the parents. Yeah. I like them to know that I'm here. I'm like, hey, school library. And it's great. It's really good getting feedback from the parents. It really, really is. Because I feel like they don't have to do that, because I don't need to know that you did it. And I'm sure you took the time out to take that picture. Maybe it was just for you, but to make a point to make sure that I get it, that I know. Yeah. It's really, really nice.
Well, and I think that speaks too to as many pieces of feedback as you probably get from the parents. There's probably 5 or 10 that you don't get, but that the parents are still involved with their student doing something out there. So like the reach of this program into your community there's definitely just such a wide reach on this because you're touching students and parents and community in such a wonderfully creative and student-centered way. Like I love that. I really, really do.
Thank you. It's funny because it's almost like a challenge to me because I feel like, you always got that one. There's always that one parent who never shows up to anything, never does anything. There's always that one business that doesn't donate to anything. It's like a challenge. It's like,
love that. And like you're making it such a low barrier to entry that it really is very easy for people to jump on board with it, whether it's the business or the parent or the student or whatever it is. Like that's so great.
Yeah, because you figure no matter what you're doing on this particular weekend, you may decide, let me go to Pretzel Factory. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, and creating a great family moment too. Like maybe this is not something we'd normally do, but now we're going to spend this time together and go do this thing. Man, so many benefits of what you're doing here. I really, really love it. Like the more I think about it, the more I realize, wow, this is really touching on a lot of great areas.
Yeah, I really enjoy Poem in My Pocket, especially knowing that it all started because I felt like their interest was just so low in poetry. And And I said,
Yeah.
I got to think of something. And so to see it to what it's become, like I look forward to it, doing it. I almost want to figure out how I can do something similar, not in poetry, like not for the people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's
Right.
what I'm trying to figure out. I was like, what other community literacy events could I plan? Because it is. It's very easy. Very easy. Like it requires nothing of me other than like a letter and one day after work hitting up a bunch of nearby businesses. But yeah, I love that the kids get that practice of public speaking. I feel like they really need that.
And I love that it's so that the students are really involved and they get to pick their poem and they get to decide where they go and they get to decide how they're going to perform it. And I imagine that is by doing that, you have really created a system where every student can participate, no matter what their level, no matter what their skills,
no matter their age. Yeah.
No matter their age. Yeah. No matter their language acquisition. If you've got ELL students, they can take as much or as little advantage of it as they want. I mean, I would even could see this being sort of like a way to reach out to some of those students and say, like, here's a way to either practice your English with something like an easier poem, or can you find a poem in your native language that you would be willing to share? Like that might be a really neat twist on it too, you know? And that's a way to kind of bring that into, maybe they share it with other students or even just sharing it in the community, highlighting their culture and their language. Yeah. That could be a really neat little facet.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. That's a good idea.
Sorry, sometimes my mind just starts spinning in different directions, but there's so many great elements here. So you've gotten feedback from the students, from the parents. You had mentioned in passing that the teachers have also, I mean, they're promoting this. They're obviously involved and engaged. Have they had any sort of specific feedback about like how they're seeing the students either engaging with poetry because of this, or like that they are, you know, maybe on the front end, they're coming to you like, oh, we can't wait. This is going to be coming up. We're so excited for our students. Like,
yeah, I think it's more of that, more of the front end, more just like, oh, I can't wait. I know for me, I'm seeing a little bit of a difference because I have centers in my library. And there's one particular center in my library that changes every month. So naturally, that center is going to be a blackout poetry center to do. And I noticed that that gets more attention than it used to.
Gotcha.
So I do see their interest in poetry shifting. So that's good.
Right. Right. I'm just, having done this for a couple of years, I'm kind of curious, do you feel like you've seen any kind of a change in the students' of connections to, attitudes toward knowledge of poetry, like as you're seeing them from year to year? Like, are you seeing a change in general in the culture? Are you seeing some, like, this student that started doing this in 3rd grade, now in 8th grade, like I'm seeing such a huge difference in how they're relating to poetry? Like any kind of...
Seeing like little tidbits. Like I might be teaching a lesson and then I might hear a student say, oh, that's a metaphor. Like those moments where like things just kind of click.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do see that. I do see more of an interest in nonfiction, which I was surprised about. I do see, because there's sometimes where I'll say, okay, well, today only check out from such and such session, or today it's free choice, or today we're doing this. Like I try to keep them on their toes and switch it up a bit. But it's funny that, you know, ones that are typically graphic novels, now we're leaning towards nonfiction, because now we've read a lot of nonfiction. We've read some poetry books for a while, so now I want to explore what else is over here. You know, maybe it's still this, or maybe it's something else.
I love that. Huh.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's not something I would have thought of, but yeah, it totally makes sense that you're kind of shifting the physical location of what they're looking at in the library, and so maybe you're shifting their interest too.
Yes.
Boy, wow.
Because it's crazy what like just physical space can do. You know what I mean? Like you don't think about it, but I feel like some students don't even walk to certain areas of the library. They're just like, oh, biography.
Right.
Yeah. But it's amazing. It's like, let me just change this space, and all of a sudden, oh, now we're over here. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Man. And that's because maybe I put something nearby that section that they were interested in, and now that they're interested in there and they're going there, now it's like, oh wait, what's this next to it? Oh, okay, I can grab that.
Yeah, that sort of, the spontaneous sort of just accidental discovery. I love that. It's so funny. Like, as we're talking this through, it just, every element of it is like, oh my gosh, it also does this. And oh my gosh, it's also related to that. And like, there's so many things going on with it. And I really, really love it.
Yeah, it does so much. And it's crazy looking back that it was literally something I saw on Google, but I think in Google is more of literally what it is, Poem in Pocket. It was like a way to like fold up a different types of poem, and then you unfold it and you're like, oh, this is a haiku. So, but it went from that to this.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I love about pretty much anything you're doing in school. Like you start out and it's like, I'm doing this thing over here. And then once you've had a chance to go through it a couple of times, it ends up in a completely different place doing something completely, opposite of how you started out. But when you find that thing and you're willing to put in the time and the effort, and it's something that's worthwhile doing, because clearly it is, that the students in the community are so involved in it,
Yeah.
It's wonderful to see how those kind of things can grow and change.
Yeah, and administration loves it. So anytime I get a chance to like show off for my admin,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's a great thing. Yeah.
I know it's scarce. So I'm like, oh, nope.
So I know other people are going to want to try and, build on what you're doing here and jump on board the Poem in Your Pocket train. So do you have any particular suggestions for folks who might be trying this out for the first time?
I would suggest starting early. I would suggest, because it's usually like after the new year that I start hunting businesses, which is a good time. But if you want to maybe do it before the holidays, even better. Because I feel like the more businesses, the better. I feel like one year I only had 3 businesses on the flyer, which was okay. But I found that the feedback was, I wish I could have said more. I wish I could have did more poems at different places. And so, okay. But now I know I have to like start early, because a lot of times it takes businesses a while to get back to you, because maybe they do have to act manager, or maybe there is somewhat of a protocol for this at some business. Maybe. So yeah, I would say start as early as you can, just gathering your list of businesses that you have in mind. Do that.
That's a great point.
As early as you can, lock it in.
Yeah. I mean, knowing how long the communication takes, plus you probably want to just give them some runway to be able to think about, like, what do we want to offer? What can we offer? So that you're not, I don't imagine you want to walk in and be like, hey, are you going to do this? Tell me right now and tell me what you're going to do. Like, you want to give them the opportunity to sort of figure out what's going to work for them.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So that would be my best advice, is to just start early in having that, and having all that aligned and planned out and just ready to go by the time you tell your students and school community.
That totally makes sense. Yeah. Having the details clear in your mind is definitely going to make it easier to present to other people too. So
yes.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, this is obviously a really wonderful lesson activity that you're doing with your students. And I thank you so much for coming to share it. We are now going to take our 90-degree turn and go into our book break.
Book break.
Squiddy!
Book break.
I love the book break. So you can share anything you want, personal, professional, for students, for staff, for yourself, whatever it is. Any books, any authors. What do you want people to have on their book radars?
This is such a hard question for librarians.
I know, right?
Oh, man, but I have 2 in mind. So there's this beautiful, beautiful children's book called The Invisible String by Patririce Karst, I think is how you say her last name. It's such a beautiful story. It's about these 2 brother and sister, these 2 kids, and they're scared because it's a thunderstorm, and their mom explains to them, well, you don't have to be scared because we have this invisible string. And it turns into the story about how we are connected to our loved ones, no matter how far, no matter if we're scared, excited, no matter if they've passed on. It's just a great, beautiful story. And I read it, and I was so inspired to write my own books after reading that story, because I just love it. It's a great little picture book.
And it sounds outstanding. Boy,
is We Should All Be Millionaires by Rodgers. Oh my goodness, it's an easy read for one. Like, I love a book that makes you feel like as you're reading it, it's just like a conversation between you and a girlfriend. Like, that's how I felt like reading it. And it's just a great book for like women empowerment with your finances. And if you want to like start a business, it's like telling you like, yeah, go ahead, because we should all be millionaires, essentially, in the title. I love that book. It's a great book.
I'm going to have to check that out, because, hey, I wouldn't mind being a millionaire.
She basically talks about how, imposter syndrome, and just, get out there and your worth. So start to like put yourself out there based on that, and you'll see things in return. And it's true. I feel like I read that book. I want to say I read it in February 2 years ago. And then that May, I had like my first like author visit, like paid, based on like
that's amazing
tips I got in that book. I give her so much credit. Like, I was on her website. I'm like, I'm so invested. Like, she's great at like pushing you to be your best self.
I love that. I do want to digress a little bit, because I did see that you are an author and that you've got a website that you're going to share in our show notes that has some books listed and whatnot. And so I'm kind of curious, like, how did that, you had mentioned the invisible string sort of was a motivator for you. How did you get into being?
I swear I love books. I love books. I feel like, I think it was Jason Reynolds who said like, you can't do anything without reading. Like literacy essentially is your key to life with everything. And I just 100% agree. And I just love books and literacy. I love a book that can give me that joy of reading. So yes, I love books so much that I've written my own books. I'm trying to, as much as I love what we do, Steve, if I could be the next J.K. Rowling and retire out here off of my book, hey,
why not?
That'd be great.
Hey, why not do both, right?
That'd be the dream life. My goodness.
Right?
Yeah,
Man, I love that.
Books, and they're usually just based on my experiences as a teacher. I mean, they're a little exaggerated. Yeah. I love books. I love reading.
I mean, I'm looking at your website and I'm looking at the covers, and I love these titles, and I love the illustrations on the covers. Like, these are just really, I can see these really appealing to students. These are really wonderful.
Yes, they are. It's so funny because my grandmother, she passed away, but she gave me the best advice, and it sticks with me. She said, if you want to do something, surround yourself by the people who are doing it. And I think it was in 2012, I said to her, I want to write a book. And she was like, start surrounding yourself by people who have written books or who know how to get books done and da-da-da. So I said, okay. So I went to a book convention, and that's where I met the illustrator for my books. And he walked me through the whole process of how you self-publish, and this is what you do. And just 100% right. If you want something,
that's awesome.
Surround yourself by the people who are already doing that thing.
Love that.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're on my website. Yes, I love it.
Yes, absolutely.
The last book I've written was about my grandma, the Call Your Grandma book.
I didn't want to ask. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to point you toward it. You definitely, you very clearly have some very strong feelings for your grandma, and I appreciate that. But Call Your Grandma, as soon as I saw that title, I was like, yeah, we all need to call her grandma.
We do. I love my grandma. She passed on, and one of my favorite things to do when she was alive was to call her. It just talks about, it's just a short story about how you should always call your grandma, whether it be a FaceTime, an email, just always call your grandma. So yeah, I love my daughter is named after my grandma.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. I love that.
Yeah. But she lives on.
Yeah. And, her lesson, I think, is a brilliant one. So I think we all should be trying to surround ourselves with the people that, we want to emulate, because that's how you learn.
Yeah. It'll feed off of you. Yeah. It's great. Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your lesson idea here and this wonderful book suggestions and your website, which is amazing and is going to be in our show notes. If people want to touch base with you in the future, where should they go looking for you?
They can find me primarily on Facebook and Twitter under @Mrs. Smith's Library, and any hashtag your librarian approves, I'll come up. Because I usually
love that
under every book post.
Well, that's a great one. I like that. Your librarian approves. Nice. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate you taking the time to come and share with us. And I am so glad that we got to have this conversation, because my brain is just spinning with all the possibilities here. So thank you so much.
Yes, I'm so happy to share it with you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the SLLN podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for the episode. They feature links to resources shared by our guest, as well as ways to keep in touch with them, and links to the book break titles. I'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback, a comment, an idea, a question, or something you want to share, you can email drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. Know a librarian with something we could learn from? Let us know. Until next time, be good, be safe, and be well.